Just in for test is an interesting new cooking system from Jetboil called the TrailCook. Comes in two versions, this one with a 1.2 litre pot and a bigger one with a 2 litre pot. It's designed, as the name suggests, for actually cooking food and simmering food, not just boiling water like the Jetboil Flash. Effectively, this size one is an update on the old Jetboil MiniMo. This has been my favourite Jetboil system stove for many years. It's been around for well over a decade because it's good for simmering and cooking. It has a regulated burner. It has a wide pot. And overall works, I think, better than any of the other stoves. Wind's getting up. This new one looks like a good replacement for it, with some big improvements, but one big disadvantage. Anyway, let's go through what you get. First of all, it's got a fold-out locking handle, which is insulated and which you can see is very, very solid. I like that a lot. This is the type of handle that I prefer on pots. It's got a transparent lid with a flip-up insulated knob, easy to lift on and off, far better than the one on the MiniMo, which you have to carefully lever off at the edge without burning your fingers. I've always tended just to leave it sitting lightly on the top so I can flip it off like that. This is obviously much better. You can also see with this if the water's boiling. Inside there's the burner in a microfiber bag. I'll come to that in a minute. And a stabilizer for canisters. On the bottom there is a bowl. It's not really a cup, it's completely the wrong shape, which fits very firmly, so it takes a bit of effort to get it off. It's nice and solid. Again, I think much better than the one on the MiniMo, which is thin plastic, which I cracked fairly quickly. I wouldn't use this though myself. I'd leave it at home, because one advantage of this type of pot is being wide and not that tall, as well as being easy for cooking in and stirring food. It's also easy to eat out of, so I don't need a separate bowl. I can see for two people, yes, so you need more than one bowl, but then this isn't really big enough for two people, because although it's a 1.2 litre pot, inside there is a maximum fill line marked, which you can just see because it's black on black. Excuse me. And that says 700 ml. So Jetboil are really saying you shouldn't have more than 700 ml of liquid in here. The black inside is a ceramic coating. Now, ceramic coating it's designed, food won't stick, it's easy to clean. Not that those are problems I particularly ever had with the MiniMo anyway, but that's the reasoning. However, because ceramic, whilst tough, can be scratched, I wouldn't use metal utensils in this. It's back to synthetic and plastic spoons. And that's why I would always keep the burner inside its cloth bag. You can also pack a 100 size canister in with the burner. Again, I'd always wrap it in a cloth to protect the coating. A 250 size, 230 size will go in, but you can't get the burner in as well. But overall, it's a nice pot with a good lid and good handle. I like it. Now let's look at the burner, and this is where it's very different to previous ones. So you can see it's quite compact when it's packed up. It has fold out pot supports, and unlike other Jetboil system stoves, this does not lock on. It sits inside the pot supports, and that is quite stable as long as it's fairly upright, but it doesn't take much before it falls off. I'll have to get used to that, because you tend to assume, as with the MiniMo and the Flash, that Jetboil system stoves, the pot locks into place and won't come off the burner. It does mean, of course, that you can put other pots on there, as long as they'll fit reasonably well on these three supports. The other changes are ones that were introduced on the new Flash 1.0 litre last year, which is this orange rubberized grip, which you can hold when it's burning and it doesn't get hot, and a home cooker style on-off switch, which also operates the pizza igniter and controls the flame. So one control instead of two, which makes a slight difference, but I don't think is that significant, and does mean you haven't got a long handle out here to turn when it's lit. Now the burner, as with the MiniMo, is regulated, which means you'll get an even flow of gas until the canister's virtually empty, and also means it'll work well in the cold, which is why the MiniMo became a stove I used a great deal in winter, and which means you've got finer flame control than with a non-regulated burner, which of course is part of a cooking system rather than a boiling water system. But overall, this is all positive. It's a very smart, neat unit, but as I say, there's one disadvantage, and that is weight. It is, as you can see, slightly bigger than the MiniMo. MiniMo is actually slightly higher, but this is wider. That's not a major thing, but it is, I think, significantly heavier. The MiniMo, with lid and plastic cup on the base, weighs 426 grams. If you leave that out, which I do, especially since it cracked, it weighs 378 grams. The new TrailCook weighs complete 591 grams. And if you leave out the plastic stabilizer and the bowl, it weighs 496 grams. So it is well over 100 grams heavier than this. That's significant. Whether it's worth the wait, I'll have to find out when I actually use it. I'm not sure why they've increased the volume of the pot. you know, 1.2 litres, 1 litre. 1 litre is enough for solo use. 1.2 is, you know, maybe just big enough for 2, but not if you only put 700 ml in it. But given they're doing a 2 litre one anyway, so there's a bigger one that would be fine for 2 people, I'm not sure why they didn't keep the volume the same as the MiniMo and therefore keep the weight down a little bit. But anyway, overall, it seems quite impressive other than the weight, and I'll be taking it out on my next trip and doing some cooking in it and finding out just how well it works. So until then, I hope you found this interesting. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy it, please click like, it always helps. And I'll see you after the next trip.